Here are some of the longest books that I have on my TBR. I guess. Oh. Hello and welcome back to Noteworthy Fiction. My name is Nicole. Thank you for watching my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Big Books tag. This tag was originally started, as far as I can tell, by One Book, One Review way back in 2013, but people are still doing the tag today because, let's face it, we all like a good big book. So if you watched a few of my videos by now, you may have noticed that I often feature a lot of really big books on my channel. I just enjoy a good long read. So I'm very excited to do this book tag and share some large books with you. And it's actually been this book tag that has introduced me and led me to reading some of the big books that were on my TBR. This is a pretty simple book tag. It's just 5 of the longest books you've ever read and 2 of your biggest books that are currently on your shelf. I'm going to add to it and also include the biggest book that I'm currently reading. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the 5 longest books that I've ever read, starting with the shortest of the 5, I guess, and just ending with the largest. The shortest one on that list is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, coming in at 1,273 pages. I should add that the number count that I'm using is based on my story graph, so it may vary from edition to edition. I have numerous versions of War and Peace. This is the version that I recently read. I read it this year. This was my second time reading War and Peace. I read it about 20 years ago in college. So, and I read a different edition, which I still own. So check your edition. Mileage may vary. This edition actually goes up over 1,270 pages if you include the notes. War and Peace, if you don't know, is really Leo Tolstoy's thoughts and writings on War and Peace. He insisted that it was not a novel. And there are definitely parts of it that will not feel like a novel, but there are also parts that really will. I think this book as a whole is about the topics of war and peace and where you can find each. And I think Leo Tolstoy proposes that it may not be where you think. That's War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. The 4th longest book that I have ever read is The Count of Monte Cristo, coming in at 1,276 pages, just a few pages longer than War and Peace, depending on your translation. This is written by Alexandre Dumas. You can see I semi-tabbed this one, and then I just realized I was going to run out of tabs and didn't want to buy that many, so I annotated the rest of it just in pencil. The Count of Monte Cristo, I also read this year. I read it back at the beginning of this year and absolutely loved it. This was my first time reading it. It is really a story about a wrongful imprisonment followed by the retribution that the gentleman seeks. There are twists and turns and cliffhangers and romance and you name it, this book has it. There is just everything. Everything imaginable is in this book, so check it out. The 3rd longest book on my shelf, coming in at 1,463 some odd pages, is Les Mis. I can't find my copy of it. I know I still have one, so I'll just put it up on the screen. Depending on the edition you have, again, your size may vary, but for me, this is my 3rd largest book that I have read. And Les Mis, wow, another story about a guy who is imprisoned. And it's really his lifelong journey trying to flee that imprisonment and the cop that is insistent on putting him back in. The 2nd longest book on my shelf is A Suitable Boy, coming in at a whopping 1,474 pages. This story really is about discovering what is and what isn't suitable in newly independent India. And it is a fabulously long story that introduces you to 4 families and shows how their lives intertwine and change. If you like books that follow characters and families for over the course of a lot of great adventures, in this case, really only, I think, a year or 2 is where we follow them. But I mean, we're in their daily lives, and it's just a great, wonderful story, and I highly recommend it. Okay, and now for the longest book that I've ever read is Clarissa by Samuel Richardson at 1,536 pages. I no longer own the copy of it that I read. Actually, when when we had a puppy, she chewed it to pieces. She apparently wanted to give it a try and found it perfect. So I read this book twice so far. Once when I was actually in high school, because I've loved big books ever since high school. In fact, I read A Suitable Boy for the first time back in high school as well. Clarissa, I read for a second time the abridged version when I was in college. So I am looking forward to reading Clarissa again, possibly next year. I don't know. We'll see. Clarissa is an epistolary novel, so it's written all in letters, and it's really about the history of Clarissa Harlow and what happens when her family is pressuring her into a marriage that she does not want, and sort of everything that ensues after that as she looks to escape. So Clarissa is a really long book, but if you want to improve your own letter writing skills, I highly recommend it. And it's a gripping story. There are things in it that just do not go as you think. You will probably be surprised. Those are the top 5 longest books that I've ever read, but I still have plenty of long books on my TBR. So now I'm going to share with you the 2 longest books that are currently on my TBR. The second longest book on my shelves that I have not read is Once an Eagle. This is 1,296 pages. This novel is about 2 men who are in the military. My understanding is one of them is a soldier and one of them is an officer, and they're adversaries. This is apparently required reading both by cadets at West Point as well as Marine Corps cadets. So I find that very fascinating. I look forward to reading this. And the largest book currently on my shelves that I have not read is The Dying Grass by William T. Vollman. I am really looking forward to this book. One, it's a large book. Like I said, I really enjoy those, but I've also heard a lot of really good things about William Vollman. This is about the Prince Nez War, which I know very little about. I would not pay a lot of attention in history class, sad to say, but I have heard that this is one of his really good books, and that even if you're not into historical fiction, that his storytelling in this is just so good that you will probably enjoy it. This book is actually book number 5 in his 7 Dreams series that basically discuss the history of North America. Of all the books, there were a couple that I was interested. This was the easiest one for me to find, and I'm really interested in hearing about how he writes and talks about the conflict between the Native Americans and the European colonists. Those are the 2 largest books on my shelves currently that I have not read, and I'd also like to share as an addition the longest book that I'm currently reading, and that is The Tale of Genji. I don't know why, but I just realized I didn't bring it over here with me. But I can put a picture up for you, and if you've watched my other videos, you've seen it flash it all the time. The translation of The Tale of Genji that I am currently reading is 1,360 some odd pages, and it's the Dennis Washburn translation. This novel covers court life in the Heian period in Japan, which would have been about 800 to 900 CE. And we follow the life, the love, the beauty, and just the poetic happenings to our radiant prince, Genji. And it's a beautifully written novel. If you're intimidated by large books, I think this is a really great book to start with, partially because the chapters are a decent length. They're not super short, but they're not terribly long. The book is, in just about every translation, very easy to read. The stories are very easy to understand, and most of the books come with good commentary to help familiarize you with some of the court life aspects that are going on and culture that you may be unfamiliar with. Additionally, because it's not told in an ongoing plot, you don't necessarily have to follow a single thread throughout the whole thing. It's fairly easy to read each chapter as its own vignette. I chose the Dennis Washburn translation because the most confusing part of this book can actually be keeping the character names straight. And I had heard that this translation does a good job of helping you make connections between who is who in the book, and I found that to be true. Here are some of the longest books on my TBR. Ta-da! Have you read any of these? Are there any of that you're thinking of reading? As far as the ones that I've read, I would recommend all of them. I really enjoyed them, and as you can see, the ones that I've read multiple times, and I think they're worth that. They're a good long read. Some of them I read in just a few weeks. Some, and I would probably say even most, I read over the course of a month or even 2. The Tale of Genji, I'm currently reading over the course of 3 months. So there's multiple different ways to tackle a big book, but I definitely recommend trying some if you never have. And if you have, let me know what your favorite ones are. If there's something I haven't mentioned, definitely leave a comment and let me know. Per usual, like, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.